If you think your immigration process ends the moment you click submit, think again. Because for IRCC, your story doesn't end there. It continues in every post, every caption, every public trace of who you are online. I'm Jazz Dillon with Real West Immigration, and if you want to make sure your online presence doesn't accidentally destroy your immigration case, you'll want to listen carefully. And when you're ready, book a confidential consultation using the link below. Now let's talk about what's really happening behind the scenes. Here's a plain truth. If something is public on the internet, it's fair game. IRCC has an official policy, not a rumor, not a guess, an actual documented framework that allows them to collect, analyze, and report on public social media content. That means anything open to the public, from your LinkedIn to your TikTok to an old Facebook photo album, can be seen and compared to the story you told in your file. And this is where things get serious, because one word most applicants don't fully understand is misrepresentation. Now, under Section 40, subsection 1 of Canada's Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, if you misrepresent or even omit a material fact that could lead to an error in processing your file, you can be found inadmissible. You don't need to have intended to lie. Even a small mismatch, a date, a role, a timeline can trigger it. And once that happens, you're looking at a 5-year ban from ever applying again. Now think about that for a second. You might have paid thousands for your application, gathered documents for months, and then one careless post or one mismatch online suddenly puts your honesty in question. That's why IRCC constantly reminds applicants that you are personally responsible for the truth of your file and nobody else, because your name is on it. Now, people often ask me, do I have to list my social media accounts when I apply? And as of right now, the answer is no. IRCC doesn't ask you for your handles, but that doesn't mean they can't see what's already public. If your LinkedIn says you've been a manager since 2021, but your application says you worked as a technician until 2023, that's a red flag. If your relationship timeline in your file doesn't match your public anniversary posts, that's another red flag. It doesn't always mean refusal, but it does mean delay, questioning, and sometimes suspicion. The border is a different story. The CBSA officers, that's the Canada Border Services Agency, can legally examine your phone or laptop if they have a reason to believe a law might have been broken. They may say it's not done as a matter of course, but the power exists. The Privacy Commissioner has already investigated how that power is used. So both online checks and border checks are real, and both can affect your future in Canada. Now, the point isn't to scare you, it's to help you understand how truth is verified in today's system. When IRCC reviews applications, they don't just rely on the documents you send. They compare information across multiple sources. And yes, that includes what's publicly available online. It's not about spying, it's about program integrity, protecting the fairness of the system by making sure every applicant tells one consistent and truthful story. And when people post things like, I worked a cash job while on a study permit, or my marriage is just for papers. Now, it might feel like just a joke to them, but to an officer reading your file and sees those posts and sees the context of those posts, even a comment made years ago can suddenly become evidence. Now, let's pause for a moment because I want to clear a few common misunderstandings. Now, deleting something doesn't mean it never existed. Screenshots live forever. And no, IRCC doesn't make decisions based on comments under their own posts. Decisions come from your file and the evidence you provide. But if public information contradicts your story, it can absolutely be reviewed. So don't rely on online myths or influencer opinions Trust the policy because the policy wins every time. Now, when we represent clients at Real West Immigration, we don't just fill out the forms. We make sure your public story matches your immigration story, the dates, the roles, the timelines, the context. We don't try to necessarily make you delete or hide your life. We make sure your life makes sense on paper and online because officers read things literally, not emotionally. That's what professional representation really means. If you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm not sure if something I posted could hurt me, don't wait until you get a procedural fairness letter, also known as a PFL. Click the link below. Book a confidential consultation and let's review your case before a small issue becomes a big one. Now let's talk about privacy because this part confuses a lot of people as well. Canada takes privacy seriously. The Office of the Privacy Commissioner monitors how federal departments, including IRCC and CBSA, collect and use personal information. That's good news because it means there's rules, but public information is still public. Privacy laws protect how the government collects data, not what you choose to make public. So if you post it, it can be looked at as long as it's done lawfully. That means the smart move isn't just to vanish from the internet altogether or hide your accounts. It's to be accurate, be consistent, and make sure your public presence matches the truth of your application. Because here's what happens in the real world. Your LinkedIn job says one thing, your file says another. Your Instagram post shows you in another country longer than you claim. Your TikTok mentions working full-time on a study permit. Or your couple photos don't match the dates you declared on your sponsorship. All of those things can be innocent, but they can all create questions. And questions slow you down. That's why before we file anything, we go through your story with one simple rule: tell the truth and tell it everywhere. No multiple versions, no contradictions, no guessing. Because what officers look for is not perfection. It's honesty, clarity, and consistency. Here's the final reality check. IRCC really does monitor public social media. That's confirmed in government documents. Misrepresentation under the law is real, even when it's unintentional. CBSA does have authority to examine devices when there are legal indicators. And IRCC publicly warns about the consequences of false statements. All of this is real, but it's not a reason to panic. It's a reason to prepare. The best protection isn't fear, it's strategy. Make sure your public story and your official story say the same thing, backed by real evidence. Because when your file is truthful, accurate, and complete, there's nothing to hide, online or offline. I'm Jazz Dillon with Real West Immigration. If you want your case handled professionally with every detail checked and your online presence reviewed for consistency, book your confidential consultation using the link below. We'll help you protect your credibility, strengthen your file, and present your story the right way. Stay smart, stay accurate in your file. Let us handle the rest.